Record books.
Taking no chances, road crews are out in force already, and people are storming the stores, packing their fridges. This morning, last-minute shoppers will pick over the scraps that are left. Good morning and welcome to News 4 Today. I'm Joe Krebs.
And I'm Un Yang. It is Friday, February 5th, 2010. We have a number of school closings and early dismissals to report to you in anticipation of the storm. First, an important change, though, involving the federal government. The federal government will now be operating under an unscheduled leave policy today with a 4-hour early dismissal in effect. D.C. public schools will close at noon today.
And this just in, Montgomery County Schools, Maryland, are closing 2.5 hours early today. Also in Maryland, Anne Arundel County Schools will close 2 hours early. Carroll County Schools will close 2 hours 45 minutes early. And Charles County Schools in Maryland close for today.
In Virginia now, many schools are closed today. They include Alexandria City, Arlington County, Fairfax County, Prince William County, and Loudoun County schools all closed. Also closed today, Clark County, Culpeper County, Fauquier County, Frederick County, and King George County schools.
Manassas City, Manassas Park City, Orange County, Rappahannock County, and Spotsylvania County schools, they're also closed, as well as Stafford County, Warren County, Winchester City, and Fredericksburg City schools all closed today.
And in West Virginia, Berkeley, Hampshire, Hardy, Jefferson, and Mineral County schools are closed. Morgan County schools are also closed today.
And meteorologist Tom Kierines here in the studio. He's joined us now with a look at the forecast for today and, of course, this weekend.
Well, we're still on track. Really not much of a change over the last couple of days as far as the track of the storm and the amounts that we expect. So here's how the timeline is taking shape. We'll likely have light snow into the Shenandoah Valley by 8 o'clock this morning. Right now, Panhandle of West Virginia getting a few flurries. Southern Maryland, Northern Neck getting a little bit of sleet and rain there. And we'll see, though, by noontime, the snow moving into the metro area, light at first, but then quickly heavy snow by 3, 4 o'clock, and by sunset around 5:30 we'll probably have 3 to 5 inches on the ground, the higher amounts farther south and west. Then some very heavy snow coming in overnight, covering the entire region. We may see it snowing at a rate of 1 to 2 inches an hour for 10 to 12 hours from 6 p.m. this evening till 6 a.m. Saturday. And then by dawn on Saturday, by 8 o'clock, that heavy snow moving off, the very heavy snow farther north and east, but still we'll have some bands of heavy snow through midday Saturday, but then the lighter snow moving out. And for the totals for this storm from this afternoon all the way until Saturday evening, 18 to 24-inch amounts right around Washington. We could have higher drifts around the bay and the eastern shore with winds gusting over 40 miles an hour there. So they could see 3- and 4-foot drifts from this snow. But here, the winds won't be quite as high here in Washington and points west, but the total amounts of snow, though, still could be up to 30 inches in that zone around the high points near the Shenandoah Valley and along the Blue Ridge. Well, the winds will diminish by Saturday afternoon. The snow will end by then. Sun back Sunday and Monday and below freezing. Jerry, how's the traffic?
Tom, not much of a rush hour so far this morning. We'll keep a close watch on it, of course. And don't be surprised if you find a lot of folks out and about earlier this morning heading on over to the grocery stores, obviously. But over in Centerville, doing fine, 66 eastbound and westbound. Let's head over to Maryland and check things out along I-270 from Frederick, headed on down to the Split. Still very light volume of traffic and good road conditions right now. Back to you.
Good news. Thanks, Jerry.
We have team coverage of the massive preparations for this winter storm. Tracy Wilkins is live at Reagan National Airport, where some people are getting out just in time and others will show up only to be disappointed.
But let's start with News 4's Megan McGrath. She's spending some time among some last-minute shoppers right now. She's out in Rockville. Megan, anything left?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, well, look, here's a last-minute shopper here, and you've got your stuff. Yeah. Talk a little bit about what brings you out at this hour, and how did you find things inside the store?
It's not bad. You know, they have milk and everything. A lot of people say they didn't have milk, but I didn't find no bread or nothing like that. I found the other stuff, cereal, stuff like that.
So you just need the essentials before you get snowed in here?
Right.
You'll be working this weekend, I think?
Definitely. Probably all the way up until Monday, straight.
Do you feel like you're ready now?
Yeah, definitely. I'm ready now.
All right, we'll let you load up and get back to work. I know you got to get all that stuff in the refrigerator. You too. Yeah, it's amazing the way people have gone through everything in really all of the stores in our area. It doesn't matter what chain you go into. It's pretty much the similar situation. The bread aisle, the milk aisle, the produce aisle, the cheese aisle, for whatever reason. Not a whole lot left on the shelves, and in fact, in some cases, there are empty shelves. Now, here at the Giant in Rockville, they just got a shipment of milk. It's kind of funny because, other areas are stripped clear, and then the milk aisle is absolutely perfect. They've just gotten a shipment. Every bottle is there, and it's ready to go. So the stores are restocking. They get their shipments overnight. We've got a lot of personnel in there working to restock things, get ready for the next wave. Just talking to the folks inside this Giant, they said it was absolutely crazy. As late as 2 in the morning, if you can imagine that. They had lines that were like 10 people deep in the middle of the night. A little more quiet now, but they're expecting things to pick up here in the next hour. Back to you, Joe.
Megan, I think we ought to ask people to send in their favorite recipes for milk and bread.
Right. That's right. I know, yeah. And I'm sure they're going to be pretty sick of milk and bread by the end of it all.
That's a rough diet to live on for 4 days.
I know.
But they
it's like
do
every
it every time. Every time they can run for milk and bread. All right. Thank you, Megan.
I must say, I bought my milk yesterday.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Thanks, Megan. We'll see you soon.
Sure. Thanks, Megan. Well, VDOT says the last storm blew the budget, but crews will be out clearing the roads no matter what. They have to. Right now, workers are getting ready, and they're pre-treating the roads and stocking up on salt. VDOT is tapping into a $25 million reserve fund to pay for all this. VDOT says that snow removal is a matter of safety, and there will be no cutbacks. And crews are also getting ready for another snowy weekend in the district, of course. The snow emergency officially takes effect at 9:30 this morning. That means that all vehicles must be moved from any snow emergency route. Once the snow begins, 270 trucks will be out salting and plowing the streets. D.C. Mayor Adrian Fenty says the city is ready, but it needs residents to cooperate.
Mainly our snow emergency is to get assistance from people who normally park on snow emergency lanes. Those are your traditional rush hour routes and evacuation routes. No cars will be able to park there. We'll need them to plow all the way to the curb.
Once again, that snow emergency takes effect at 9:30 this morning. If you're parked on a snow emergency route after that time, your vehicle will be ticketed and towed. Well, the plows and salt trucks are also ready to go in Maryland. State highway officials say they've already spent about $50 million on snow removal this year. That is about double the annual budget. They say weekend storms are also more expensive because of the long hours and the overtime costs.
Local airports are scrambling to get ready for this winter blast. Yesterday, crews at Dulles were still trying to clean up from the last storm, and they also had to focus on the big storm that's heading our way today. Preparations are also underway at BWI Marshall. And at Reagan National, it's the same story. News 4's Tracy Wilkins joins us now live with more on the last-minute rush to get out of town. Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning. And we come down here all the time, and we're here for holiday travel. I can't remember the last time I saw a traffic jam like this at Reagan National. Look at all the people behind us here who are trying to get in as soon as possible. Now check out this traffic jam to our left. We were driving through this, and it was just like, at a standstill at some point. All of the shuttles are packed full of people getting out and trying to get on the planes. The cabs are packed. Folks are dropping people off, and the lines are just all the way down this area in front of Reagan National Airport. People scrambling last minute to try and get flights. Now, there have already been some cancellations. Southwest Airlines has reported that they're going to be closing out of BWI in Dulles. They've canceled their afternoon and evening flights for today. All of their flights for Saturday have been canceled. Some of their Sunday morning flights have been canceled as well. So, last night and this morning, folks are trying to rebook, hoping to make it out of town before this major storm hits. Now, many think that other airlines are going to follow Southwest's lead and go ahead and cancel. Now, here's our advice. Make sure you call your airline before you show up and hope for a rebooking, because know that a standby could turn into a sleep by if you're not out of here in time. I'm Tracy Wilkins, live at Reagan National. Back to you all in the studio.
And I imagine it's only going to get worse. Tracy Wilkins. Tracy, thank you.
5:09 now, 34 degrees still ahead. Metro talking about the impending storm, what it says riders should expect this weekend.
Plus, you may be thinking about Super Bowl goodies, but there are some life and death items that you should have in your house before the snow starts falling. That list ahead.
And Tom is tracking this major snowstorm, where it is right now, when it will get here, and when our winter weather coverage continues.
Bob Ryan in the News 4 Storm Team, tracking the snow's path with up-to-the-minute forecasts. Plus, from getting around to staying safe and sound, turn to News 4 for the latest closings, delays, and road conditions. News 4 is your winter storm news leader.
Good morning. morning. Major winter storm poised to hit the region today. Right now on radar, getting a little sleet and rain and a little light snow in southern Maryland, where you see that pink zone, as well as in the panhandle of West Virginia. Now, temperatures around the region are in the upper 20s and low 30s, and we will have total amounts in this snow by the time it ends Saturday afternoon of 18 to 24 inches across most of the region, perhaps even some higher amounts farther to our west, and somewhat lower amounts in southern Maryland, the eastern shore, up to 18 inches there, because it may mix with some sleet and rain there. But we could have 3 to 5 inches on the ground by 6 p.m., then heavy amounts overnight tonight, another foot on the ground by dawn tomorrow, and then an additional 3 to 5 inches Saturday afternoon. Jerry, how's the traffic?
Time will check out the Beltway in northern Virginia, both the inner loop and outer loop right now, moving along nicely. This camera positioned over near Braddock Road, showing us between Springfield and I-66, looking A-OK. Let's go up into Maryland and see how we're doing. Beltway over in Landover, both the outer loop and inner loop around 202, looking good. Basically, lighter than normal volume at this hour, but that could change here as the morning progresses. Joe, on back to you.
Sure could. Thanks, Jerry.
5:13 is your time now. 34 degrees. No matter how quickly crews work, the roads will be treacherous.
For many people, Metro will be the only way to get around. We'll tell you about that agency's plans for the snow.
Plus, that all-important list of supplies the Red Cross says every person should have in their home. Some of them you might not have thought about.
And the latest track of this massive storm. It's already snowing on some people. We'll have the updated forecast. Our winter storm coverage continues next.
Closed captioning sponsored by Cox Communications, your friend in the digital age.
Time and temperature from TD Bank.
5:15 is your time now. 34 degrees. This is a live look at Reagan National Airport, where it is very busy. Tracy Wilkins told us the lines inside and outside very long as people try to scramble to get out of town. A lot of delays and cancellations, of course, already. We'll have the latest for you throughout our newscast. And another quick note, St. Mary's County schools are closed today. St. Mary's County schools are closed.
Yeah, we do have a number of closings and early dismissals in anticipation of the storm. First, an important alert for government workers. The federal government will now operate under an unscheduled leave policy today with a 4-hour early dismissal in effect. D.C. public schools will close at noon today.
In Maryland, Montgomery County schools are closing 2.5 hours early today. Also, Anne Arundel County schools will close 2 hours early. Carroll County schools will close 2 hours and 45 minutes early. And Charles County schools are closed.
Now, in Virginia, many schools are already closed today. They include Alexandria City, Arlington County, Fairfax County, Prince William County, and Loudoun County schools. Those all closed. Also closed, Clark County, Culpeper County, Fauquier County, Frederick County, and King George County schools all closed.
Manassas City, Manassas Park City, Orange County, Rappahannock County, and Spotsylvania County schools are also closed, as well as Stafford County, Warren County, Winchester County, and Fredericksburg schools are all closed today.
Let's look at West Virginia now. Berkeley, Hampshire, Hardy, Jefferson, Mineral County schools all closed today. Morgan County, Grant County schools also closed today. And if you don't have to go anywhere, it's probably best to stay inside out of the cold. But here's some information to keep in mind if the snow keeps you homebound for several days. Just where's Elaine Reyes now joins us live from the newsroom with more on some of these emergency tips. Elaine?
Well, Joe, you know, a lot of this is very common sense. Most of us can dig out after several hours or even one day. But, of course, if some chance your power or utilities go out in the storm, it starts to get a bit more complicated. Now, we've been talking about busy grocery stores this week. Keep some extra food on hand, especially the kind that doesn't require refrigeration or cooking. And it doesn't hurt to have plenty of bottled water. Check your prescription drugs and make sure you have enough for the week. Now, store shelves are starting to empty across the metro area, so take a look at your first aid supplies like flashlights, candles, extra blankets. Do you have enough batteries or even a portable radio? Now, keep your cell phone charged again just in case that power goes out, and if you do decide to venture out in the snow with your car, consider supplying it with first aid items like blankets and some snacks as well. We can probably agree that the snow isn't a bad word. It's just when it turns into ice that leads into problems. We'll have much more in the next hour. Joe?
Elaine, thanks very much.
The snow will likely have a major impact on Metro services this weekend. Metro is open and operating on a normal schedule right now. It will continue to run normally until there are 8 inches of snowfall. After that, Metro trains will only be running underground.
Time we experience snowfall totals of 8 inches or more above ground. When that snow begins to cover the third rail, which provides electricity to our trains, that begins to hamper our service, and that means our trains slow down.
Metro says there is a very good chance all Metro bus and Metro access services will be suspended all day on Saturday. There's also a good chance that could remain in effect for Sunday as well. Amtrak is shutting down ahead of the storm. Most trains south of D.C. have been canceled for today. That includes all southbound Northeast regional trains between Washington and Richmond and Newport News, with the exception of train 67. There is no alternate transportation. Trains are also canceled between Lynchburg and Washington.
Well, power companies are getting ready for possible widespread outages in the area. They'll have service work crews working throughout the weekend, but they won't, of course, know where to go unless you call. Excuse me. Dominion Virginia Power customers should call 1-888-667-3000 to report an outage. Pepco customers should call 1-877-737-2662. BGE customers should call 1-800-685-0123 and call your utility if you suffer a power outage or if you see any fallen or sparking power lines.
A state of emergency is already in effect in Virginia, and state lawmakers will not be making it to work today. Both the House of Delegates and the Senate have canceled today's floor sessions in anticipation of the winter weather. Lawmakers say they don't know the last time they were told to stay home due to weather.
Just about 5:21 now. Time again for traffic and weather on the ones.
Let's check with meteorologist Tom Kierine in the Storm Center, who's been tracking the storm. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, and we're still on track for a major winter storm to hit our region here over the late morning hours. We'll see some light snow developing in Washington, but right now we're getting a little bit of light snow and sleet in southern Maryland, where you see that pink zone, as well as near the central Blue Ridge and on the panhandle of West Virginia. That area is going to be getting the heaviest amounts from this storm. Right now, temperature 35 in Washington, but it's below freezing elsewhere for the most part, except right near the bay, upper 20s to near 30. Here's the timeline for the storm. By 8 o'clock, the light snow into the Shenandoah Valley. Then by late morning and noontime here in Washington, heavy snow moving in by mid to late afternoon. We may have 3 to 5 inches on the ground by then. Then very heavy snow moving in overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, and by dawn tomorrow we could have over a foot on the ground, with additional perhaps up to 6 inches or so by the time it all ends by Saturday afternoon. So total amounts of about 18 to 24 inches all throughout the entire region, except lower parts of Maryland, the northern neck, and the lower part of the eastern shore, where they could get up to 18 inches. But they could also have some very high drifts, 3 and 4 foot drifts from snow, from the very strong wind that will whip up that snow into drifts there to maybe 40-mile-per-hour gusts there. Then this all ends by Saturday afternoon, sun back Sunday and Monday and below freezing. How's the traffic, Jerry?
Tom, very quiet along Interstate 66, Vienna on into the Beltway. Over in Maryland at this hour, we're doing okay both ways at the American Legion Bridge. Out on the rails, a quiet start on Metro. VRE, things are looking good now. They do tell us that VRE will be running the trains with the biggest capacity for midday service, leaving Union Station at 12:55 and 1:15. Also, Amtrak 95, 83, 85, and 171 have been canceled. Over on Mark Rail, Brunswick train 890 canceled for this morning. On Joe.
Thanks very much, Jerry. 5:22 now, 34 degrees after the break. The $82 million question.
A new development in the budget crisis facing Fairfax County schools, what parents need to know.
Plus, it seems every morning Toyota's troubles only seem to get worse. This morning, no exception. Details now of a new recall.
And the Storm Center is busy this morning tracking the major winter storm that is creeping our direction. The latest forecast straight ahead.
5:25 is the time, 34 degrees out there. Major winter storm is going to hit our area today. Good morning and welcome back. We have just received word that Prince George's County Schools will be sending students home 3 hours early today. Prince George's County Schools joining the school systems, closing early today, 3 hours early in Prince George's County.
Happening today, Toyota is set to update the massive process of fixing those gas pedal problems. The company is also considering recalling its best-selling Prius hybrid due to concerns about brake problems. Nearly 200 Prius drivers have complained the brakes do not respond immediately when they press the pedal, or the brakes have an inconsistent feel, especially on slick roads. Any recall would involve 270,000 Prius models that were made before this year. The automaker is also investigating possible brake problems with the Lexus hybrid and the Psy compact sedan.
Big development in Fairfax County. The school system is now requesting $82 million more from the county in an effort to prevent some deep cuts. The school board approved a spending plan late last night. This plan would restore $17 million to maintain current class sizes, indoor track, freshman sports, elementary school foreign language programs, along with assistant principals and instructional assistants. The school board's request now goes to the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. A final decision comes in late April.
5:26 is your time now, 34 degrees. Shop until you drop.
Expect a big crowds and bare shelves if you plan to hit the stores this morning. A live report from a store that just got a fresh shipment of fresh milk.
Plus, by the afternoon, there will be no rush at the airport, only a lot of waiting, how they're handling the storm there.
And Tom's latest projections for the storm, where most of the snow is expected to fall, coming up next.
You're watching NBC4, live from the area's leading news station. This is News 4 Today.
Collision course, a monster storm is on the way. Crews are readying the roads the best they can, and people are stocking their kitchens ready for a rough ride in anticipation of what could be one of the worst storms in D.C. history. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to News 4 Today. I'm An Yang.
Good morning to you. I'm Joe Krebs. On this Friday, it's the 5th of February, 2010. We have a number of closings and early dismissals in anticipation of the storm. First, though, an important alert for government workers. The federal government will now be operating under an unscheduled leave policy with a 4-hour early dismissal in effect. Now to the schools. D.C. public schools will close at noon today.
In Maryland, Prince George's County schools are closing 3 hours early today. Montgomery County schools are closing 2.5 hours early. Also, Anne Arundel County schools will close 2 hours early. Carroll County schools closing 2 hours and 45 minutes early. And St. Mary's County and Charles County schools are closed.
Now to the Commonwealth of Virginia. Many schools are already closed for today. They include Alexandria City, Arlington County, Fairfax County, Prince William County, and Loudoun County schools all closed. Clark County, Culpeper County, Fauquier County, Frederick County, and King George County schools also closed.
Manassas City, Manassas Park City, Orange County, Rappahannock County, and Spotsylvania County schools are also closed, as well as Stafford County, Warren County, Winchester City, and Fredericksburg schools all closed today.
Now to almost heaven, West Virginia, Berkeley County, Hampshire County, Hardee County, Jefferson County, and Mineral County schools all closed. Morgan County and Grant County schools also closed.
And now meteorologist Tom Kieran is here with us in the studio to give us the latest on the forecast and this monster storm heading our way, Tom.
Boy, with all the storms we've had and all the school closings, these students are going to be going to school till the 4th of July this year.
Oh, man.
Boy, another big storm coming our way. As we look at the radar, you can see where you see the pink and white, that is mostly snow, and it's now coming into the central Shenandoah Valley, now snowing Roanoke, Lynchburg, Blacksburg, and into western parts of North Carolina. Now, the local view of our radar is showing a few areas of some sleet and rain where you see the pink in southern Maryland, Charles, Calvert, St. Mary's, as well as a few scattered areas near Charlottesville, central Shenandoah Valley, and the panhandle of West Virginia. And the radar, though, showing copious amounts of moisture coming in behind that snow, coming in off of the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, 35 degrees in Washington. It's near 30 in the suburbs and rural areas. Timeline for the storm: snow into the Shenandoah Valley by 8 o'clock this morning, then heavy snow by mid-afternoon all across most of Virginia and crossing the Potomac into Maryland. And then overnight tonight is when we'll have the very heavy snow moving through, tapering off and ending during the day on Saturday, with total amounts of 18 to 24 inches across most of the region. Somewhat lighter amounts around the lower bay because of a mix with sleet and maybe a little bit of rain. And that includes the northern neck and lower eastern shore, maybe up to 30 inches around the Blue Ridge. Jerry, how's the traffic?
Tom, moving along pretty well, picking up a little volume both directions along the 95 corridor. Northbound traffic here as you head on up toward Lorton, and the HOV lanes moving nicely. They're southbound wide open at this early hour with no incidents to report. By the way, HOV restrictions are being enforced this morning, something important to know. A few folks had asked about that. Over on 270, no concerns. We're moving along pretty well both directions under a light volume. Out on the rails this morning, Metro Rail, no delays. VRE, again, a reminder, they'll be running the biggest capacity trains midday today. Instead of the afternoon, it'll be early afternoon. Mark, Brunswick Train 890 has been canceled. Other than that, we're doing all right. Joe?
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry. Well, if you haven't made a trip to the store yet, you want to get there before the roads get bad.
The grocery stores were packed yesterday with people trying to stock up before the storm, and you can expect the same thing again this morning. News 4's Megan McGrath is outside a 24-hour Giant in Rockville this morning with more. Megan, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, the stores were packed yesterday. They were actually also packed in the middle of the night, if you can imagine. Now, we've got a lull, but things are starting to pick up again here. Take a look at the parking lot. You can see it's filling up. A lot more cars than when we last spoke to you about a half hour ago. So people are starting to venture out to get those last-minute items before the storm hits. And I'll tell you, it doesn't matter what store you go to. It's pretty much the same situation everywhere. Take a look at this video we shot this morning here. There are a lot of items that just are not available anymore. People are really stocking up with the expectation of they're going to be stuck in their house for a number of days. So they want to make sure they have everything they need. So the produce aisle, the bread aisle, the cheese aisle, not in the greatest shape. Now here at this Giant, they're getting shipments through the night. They're in there. They're stocking up. They have totally restocked their milk. They got a shipment of milk, so plenty of milk here. And they're, again, stocking the shelves to get ready for the next wave. We talked to the checkout guy who was here all night long, and he said it was busy up until 2 o'clock in the morning.
We had about 6 cashiers on until about 1:30 in the morning, and it was about 8 or 10 deep, pretty much for some hours there.
And it's not normally like that?
No, not at all.
I'll be set. No bread and stuff. All that's gone. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad out there.
You feel like you're prepared now?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely now. I just got to get it back and store it in the refrigerator and all.
Now, if you need to pick up a couple of items, actually now is not a bad time to go. There are people here. It's not a ghost town, even though it's early in the morning. But we're not seeing the really crazy long lines that we had yesterday, and no doubt we'll have later on this morning. The longer you wait, the more people you're going to encounter out there. And actually, you might not get what you want, too. So if you got to go, you should go pretty soon. Back to you all in the studio. Joe, on.
All right, Megan McGrath in Rockville this morning. Megan, thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Well, the stores aren't the only place where things are quite hectic. The rush is also on at the airports. At BWI, crews are getting ready for the storm. They're also getting ready out of Dulles. In fact, they're still trying to clean up from the last snowfall. But no matter how much the airports prepare, it is likely to be a rough weekend for skybound travelers. News 4's Tracy Wilkins joins us now live from Reagan National Airport, where tons of folks are scrambling to get out of town while they can. Tracy?
Good morning, Joe. It's a serious rush here. Even outside, we've got long lines of people who are waiting to check their bags. On the inside, it looks even worse. Let me show you what it looks like inside of Reagan National Airport. We were just in there a few seconds ago. It is absolutely packed with people who are trying to rebook and are hoping to get onto some flights before they're canceled later on this afternoon. Some people just showed up. Others called in and were told, look, you need to come down here if you want to try to get another flight. Now, all flights have been canceled for Saturday, and some canceled this afternoon and also this evening if you're flying Southwest Airlines. And that's going to affect folks flying out of BWI and also Dulles, because those people are going to be trying to get on to other flights. Last night and this morning, a large number of people trying to rebook at airports all over our area, folks trying to get out of town before this major storm hits. They all had a story.
I thought I got here early enough, but apparently not. So we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully things work out.
My flight's delayed. There's one that goes out earlier, and I'm hoping to snatch a seat on that. Hoping. Crossing my fingers.
Now, the best thing for you to do if you're trying to rebook is to do it online or call your airline before coming down here, because as I said earlier, a standby could easily turn into a sleep by at the airport if you're not properly prepared. We've seen this happen before with major storms, and this is supposed to be the biggest. So just think about that before you head down to the airport. I'm Tracy Wilkins, live this morning at National. Back to you all in the studio.
Or bring a pillow. Thanks very much, Tracy.
5:37 is your time now. 35 degrees. All right, just as all of us are preparing, power companies are preparing as well.
With the heavy snow, they are expecting outages. Important numbers for customers coming up. Plus, we've been telling you about the rush at the local supermarkets, where one got so busy they actually turned customers away.
And after the break, Tom is hard at work in the storm center, watching the path of this storm as it moves this way. His forecast is next as our winter storm coverage continues.
As this winter storm moves through the region, stay with News 4 for continuous updates.
Bob Ryan in the News 4 Storm Team, tracking the snow's path with up-to-the-minute forecasts.
This is the kind of snow that you really want to get out there and hit in phases.
Plus, from getting around to staying safe and sound, turn to News 4 for the latest closings, delays, and road conditions.
These school buses are going to remain parked
around the region, around the clock, keeping you in the know during the storm.
News 4 is your winter storm news leader.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Tom Curine. Here's the latest on the big winter storm heading into our region. We have a little light snow now coming into southwestern Virginia, and that snow by 8 o'clock should be up into the northern Shenandoah Valley. We're getting a little bit of sleet and rain in the northern neck right now in southern Maryland. Now, by late afternoon, and we'll see some moderate to heavy snow by then, maybe 3 to 5 inches on the ground. Then after that, some very heavy snow coming in overnight into the pre-dawn hours on Saturday. We could have well over a foot on the ground by dawn Saturday, with an additional perhaps 6 to 10 inches on top of that by the time it all ends Saturday afternoon, with total amounts of 18 to 24 up to 30 around the Blue Ridge. How's the traffic, Jerry?
Tom, over in Virginia, picking up a little volume now. This is 95 northbound as we make the trip north from Woodbridge, headed up to Lorton and on up to Springfield. All travel lanes are open. No worries. Southbound moving along nicely. Let's head south and see how we're doing right on the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Still moving along very well both directions. And a reminder, crews are out pre-treating the roadways, so please give them a wide berth and let them prepare the roads. It's for our benefit, that's for sure. Back to you.
That's
all right.
for sure.
Thanks, Jerry. Our time now 5:41, 35 degrees coming up. They got out just in time.
An update on Tyshawn's big trip to China. Plus, Metro says it is going to be ready for the snow, but the agency has a message for riders. That's coming up.
And a whole lot of shoppers disappointed where one store got so crowded they turned people away.
Why they turn us away? I need food. I mean, come on, there's a storm coming. I need food.
5:45 is our time, 35 degrees right now. Taking a live look out at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, where some flights are being canceled, and we do have a number of closings and early dismissals to tell you about in anticipation of this big winter storm headed our way. First, an alert for government workers. The federal government will now be operating under an unscheduled leave policy today with a 4-hour early dismissal in effect. D.C. public schools will also close at noon today.
In Maryland, Prince George's County schools are closing 3 hours early today. Montgomery County schools are closing 2.5 hours early. Also, Anne Arundel County schools will close 2 hours early. Carroll County schools will close 2 hours and 45 minutes early. And Frederick County schools will close 3.5 hours early. Also in Maryland, St. Mary's County and Charles County schools are closed.
In Virginia, many schools are closed today. They include Alexandria City, Arlington County, Fairfax County, Prince William County, Loudoun County schools, Clark County schools, Culpeper County schools, Fauquier County, Frederick County, King George County schools all closed today.
Manassas City, Manassas Park City, Orange County, Rappahannock County, and Spotsylvania County schools are also closed, as well as Stafford County, Warren County, Winchester City, and Fredericksburg schools all closed today.
In West Virginia, Berkeley, Hampshire, Hardy, Jefferson, and Mineral County schools all closed, along with Morgan County and Grant County schools closed today. Well, severe weather storms, winter storms, could bring power outages, a lot of wind and ice. Heavy snow can slow down emergency response and the transport of supplies. News 4's Elaine Reyes joins us now with some of the things you need to keep in mind to stay safe while you're homebound. Elaine?
Well, Joe, snow doesn't seem so bad but when it piles up and the ice gets involved, that's when the problems start. It's common sense, but here are a few reminders to keep in mind when the power or utilities happen to go out during the approaching winter storm. Now, we've been talking about busy grocery stores this week. Keep some extra food on hand, especially the kind that doesn't require refrigeration or cooking. And it doesn't hurt to have plenty of bottled water. Check your prescription drugs and make sure you have enough for at least a week. Now, store shelves are starting to empty across the metro area, so take a look at your first aid supplies and your flashlights, candles, and extra blankets. Do you have enough batteries or a portable radio? And consider having an alternate heat source such as a kerosene heater or something else as a backup in case your power goes out. So if you decide to venture out in your car at some point, here's some other things to keep in mind. If you do want to go out, consider stocking your car. Use a shovel or a scraper, add that in there. Flashlights, extra batteries, water, snacks, extra clothes, first aid kit, and emergency flares. Of course, no one ever expects to get stuck in their cars. It's just much easier to be prepared. Right, guys?
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Elaine. Well, Metro riders can expect some major service disruptions this weekend. Metro's opening and operating on a normal schedule right now. It will continue to run normally until there are 8 inches of snowfall. After that, above-ground service will be shut down.
Given what the anticipated snow total amounts are going to be for the weekend, it is highly probable that we will suspend all of our above-ground rail service for the entire weekend. And it is also highly probable that we will suspend all of our Metro Bus and Metro Access service, certainly all day Saturday, and that could extend into Sunday as well.
If above-ground rail service is suspended, Metro will operate on a modified underground schedule with trains running only every 30 minutes.
Most Amtrak service is canceled south of D.C. today. All southbound Northeast regional trains have been canceled between Washington and Richmond and Newport News, with the exception of Train 67. There is no alternate transportation. Trains are also canceled between Lynchburg and Washington. Maryland state highway officials are prepared for another long winter weekend, of course.
Yep, the state has some 2,200 pieces of equipment, 2,400 people all standing by. State highway officials say they've already spent $50 million on snow removal this year, and that is almost double the annual budget. Weekend storms are also more expensive because of the long hours and all the overtime costs.
A lot of hours put in on the weekends, and these last 4 or 5 weekends have just been relentless. You throw in a Tuesday, Wednesday storm this week, and now what looks like a full weekend this weekend. It's very tough on the men and women to do this.
Highway officials hope to recoup some of that money from other places in the budget by the end of the fiscal year. Well, power companies are getting ready for possible widespread outages in the area. They'll have service work crews working through the weekend, but they won't know where to go, of course, until you give them a call. Here are some numbers. Dominion Virginia Power customers should call 1-888-667-3000. Pepco customers, 1-877-737-2662. BGE, 1-800-685-0123. Now, you should call them if you have an outage or you see any fallen or sparking power lines.
A state of emergency is already in effect in Virginia, and state lawmakers will not be making it to work today. Both the House of Delegates and the Senate have canceled today's floor sessions in anticipation of the winter weather. Lawmakers say they do not know the last time they were told to stay home due to weather.
And Tom has joined us here in the studio to take a look at the forecast.
And before we do that, though, we have Beth Shane out in Charlotte, North Carolina, or I should say Hickory, North Carolina. She joins us now where the winter weather is already hit there. Beth, good morning.
Hey, Beth.
Good morning. You see the world is white in Hickory. I don't mean to give you a shock here. This is a pile of snow we had left over from a storm from last week, but you see it was dirty last night and it's pretty covered over this morning in this really slushy, wet stuff. You can probably even hear it coming down just a little bit. To give you a little perspective, Hickory is about an hour northwest of Charlotte. It is a higher elevation, so they do get a bit more snow here. But, you know, the forecast is a little less dramatic than the one you guys are getting, but they are expecting a couple of inches of sleet here, and that's really the concern. Of course, ice is always difficult on the roads and power lines as well. So there are some salt trucks out this morning in this area. They've got power crews on standby. We're still waiting for them to make a call this morning about the schools. So this is sort of what it will look like. Hopefully a little bit more fluffy for you guys there in the D.C. metro area.
We suspect it will be. Beth, thanks very much. Stay safe down there.
And now let's get to trusty meteorologist Tom Curran. We've been watching you all day, and we will be watching you all morning to get the latest on the storm.
Well, and it's going to be an evolving storm, so it is important to stay in tune with what is happening. And right here at NBC4, we will have frequent updates all throughout the day today, so we'll be here for you. Right now, as we take a look at radar, we can see the leading edge of that precipitation is into North Carolina. In fact, right there in Hickory, it is sort of a mix of rain and snow there, but it's mostly all snow. Southwestern Virginia, Blacksburg, Roanoke, Lynchburg, all getting light snow now with visibilities of about a mile, so that's light snow. But closer to Washington, that precipitation has begun in the form, and it's trying to reach the ground, of a little bit of snow and sleet where you see the white and pink zone here in the northern Shenandoah Valley as well as the Panhandle of West Virginia, and in southern Maryland, Calvert, St. Mary's, and Charles counties, a little bit of a mix of some light snow and sleet trying to reach the ground. But in most areas, we have no precipitation yet reaching the ground. And the temperatures are above freezing in Washington. It's at 35 here, but it's just a little bit above freezing right near the bay. Elsewhere, it's just near 30 degrees. Montgomery, Fairfax, Prince George's, Arlington counties right near 30, upper 20s to near 30 all throughout the region. Now, the leading edge of this snow is just now coming into Virginia, and there is some moderate to a little bit heavier snow now farther into far southwestern Virginia, but it's light snow farther north and east. Winter storm warnings in effect throughout the entire region. In fact, even blizzard warnings for the eastern shore, 10 a.m. today till 10 p.m. Saturday. So it's a long period of time. This is going to be a long period snow and having heavy impacts. Look at all this moisture streaming in off the Gulf of Mexico. And as this does come farther north, we'll see it enhance even more with more moisture coming in off of the Atlantic as we see this area of low pressure by Saturday morning right off of Cape Hatteras. That'll increase the winds, increase the flow of moisture off the Atlantic, slamming it into the cold air that's in place here and giving us even more snow. And this then storm system will quickly pull off to the east. We'll see the precipitation end by sunset on Saturday, and then Sunday, sunshine returns. So here is the timeline for the storm. We'll have that light snow into the Shenandoah Valley in the next few hours, then into Washington by late this morning and noontime, but then heavy snow moving in by 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. In fact, by sunset, we could have 3 to 5 inches of snow on the ground. Then some very heavy snow moving all across Virginia into the district and across Maryland. 6 p.m. today until 6 a.m. tomorrow. By then, we could pick up 1 inch to 2 inches per hour of snowfall rates. That could give us well over a foot on the ground Saturday morning, and then perhaps an additional 6 to 10 inches on top of that by the time it all ends Saturday afternoon and evening, with total amounts of 18 to 24 inches across Virginia, Maryland, the District of Columbia, and some higher amounts perhaps around the Blue Ridge and some of the high spots near the Shenandoah Valley, Panhandle of West Virginia, and out in western Frederick County, Maryland. Some somewhat lower amounts in southern Maryland with that mix of some sleet, maybe a little bit of rain, but high winds on the eastern shore may cause some drifts across parts of Delaware and right around the bay of up to 3 to 4 foot drifts with winds gusting over 40 miles an hour. Sun back Sunday and Monday and still below freezing. How's the traffic, Jerry?
Tom, this morning, pretty quiet commute along Interstate 66 inside the Capitol Beltway. On the approach to 66, coming through Roslyn, no worries. Roslyn Tunnel over there. And travel lanes are all open. Let's head over and see how we're doing elsewhere. The trip to the Wilson Bridge, no hangups. Northeast Washington, New York Avenue at Bladensburg Road Northeast. Traffic light issues, they're flashing all the way around. No police assistance on the scene as of yet. Out on the rails, we're doing pretty well so far this morning. Metro Rail and VRE, no early delays. Mark Rail, Brunswick Train 890 has been canceled for the day. Other than that, we're looking all right. Joe?
Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks very much. Well, once again, people in our area are getting ready for a big one.
They could be snowed in, and they are not taking any chances. News 4's Pat Collins has more now on last-minute preparations.
Going to snow.
Going to snow.
Going to snow.
It's going to be big.
How big?
Real big.
How big?
It's going to break the record.
So what do you think it's going to be? I don't predict snow, women, or elections. The milk here is sold like hotcakes. How many days supply is this?
Well, we've got a family, we've got 2 dogs, so I hope so.
Ground turkey, fresh turkey, turkey breast, chicken tenders, chicken breast, slim pickings.
Hey, it's a tough time right now.
But you got what you need?
Yeah.
You're going to make it?
Oh, yeah. I even got my snowblower today, too.
For your car, make sure you top off the gas. Get some washer fluid. You may want to even get some new wipers. Put a shovel in the trunk. And when you're done all that, maybe the best thing to do is
Park in your driveway.
the Costco parking lot in Arlington. Cars are lining up, backed into the street, waiting just to get into the parking lot. Cars at the ready, hoping that someone will pull out so they can get that space. Cars over there, cars down there. and that's just the parking lot. Imagine what it's like inside.
Chaotic.
It's busy. It's been a pain in the butt.
It's terrible in there. The lines are outrageous. I think you hear the word snow and everybody starts panicking, but they said it's going to be a big one. I haven't seen one like this since the 70s, I think.
I'm Pat Collins, News 4 Today.
All that snow could be tough to shovel if you can actually find a shovel. There's been a run on them, of course, and as people try to get ready for the snowstorm, many local stores are sold out.
Speaking of sold out, the Whole Foods grocery store in Logan Circle shut down after filling to capacity with last-minute shoppers. The P Street Whole Foods store closed for 30 minutes at 7 o'clock last night and turned away shoppers. When Whole Foods reopened, customers had to shop in shifts. And as you might imagine, that turned some folks into a frenzy.
This woman was on the phone freaking out.
Oh my God, they turned us away. I need food. I mean, come on, there's a storm coming. I need food.
I was super busy. There was a lot of people in there, I guess, getting ready for the storm.
Wow. Also, the local blog, The DCist, reported that Whole Foods location closed an hour early at 9:30 last night because of a previously scheduled staff meeting.
Yikes. He missed out on all the good snow. Tyshawn has arrived in China. His FedEx plane landed a couple of hours ago. Tyshawn was born at the National Zoo 4 years ago, but he's now joining a breeding program in China. His parents are also supposed to head to China by the end of the year, but the National Zoo is pushing for an extension.
Stay with us, everyone. Our winter weather coverage continues now at 6 a.m.